we made a case for an upward review of the minimum wage, which as of that time was 125 naira a month. But that 125 naira a month was equivalent to almost $180 because the naira was stronger than the dollar. So we asked for a review, and we propose about 500 naira a month as minimum wage as of that time. I believe this was in the 80s or so. Can't remember exactly the period. And the President IBB, as it's fondly called, they set up a committee chaired by one professor, I forgot his name now, he's from Cross River. Anyway, one professor to chair the committee, and you have in it people from various backgrounds, including employers association, private sector, and other groups. And after about a year and a half, we were not making any progress. And we decided, no, we wanted to meet with the president. And initially, his first reaction was to change the leadership of the committee and bring in one Air Vice Marshal. One Air Vice Marshal later became the Minister of FCT. Again, I do not readily remember the name now. But in the end, we didn't make much progress. So we asked for opportunity to meet with him. And that was our first meeting. We had tried to pay a courtesy visit and all that. It wasn't working out. But finally, we got the opportunity to meet with him. To my surprise, as we entered, we were about a 7-man delegation led by the NSC president, then Pascal Bafia. As we entered, he apparently had details of each and every one of us, including my small self. And he said, oh, Adams, you work like a military officer. You know, I tend to work fast. I said, how is your wife, Clara? That's the wife of the name of my late wife. So I'm like, how does this man know my wife's name? And how are the children? You know, one is this. He got it in a brief on each and every one of us. So he called each of the 7-man delegation. And that already kind of disarmed us because we came there angry. So by the time a president asks after your wife by name and asks after your children and mention one or two, we will be like, it's more of a family's friend. So then we were done with that. Okay. He asked Pascal, comrade, what can we do for you? You wanted a meeting. I would say first, there are a lot of obnoxious decrees like the one that prohibited Nigerian workers from relating with workers in other parts of the world, that we are not children. That if Nigeria is a member of the United Nations and our ministers are going to Russia, they are going to America, they are going to Europe, why should we be restricted from participating in international trade union program? And he just called the guy, Olu. He was the PAMSEC Ministry of Labor, who later became chairman of Lagos Chambers of Commerce. And he said, yes, gentlemen, the people have made their point, so why are we denying them? Why must we continue to deny them the right to affiliate? And the man said, you know, we don't want them to be ideologically indoctrinated. You know, the Russians, they will bring their socialist ideology. The Americans will bring their market capitalist ideology. They wanted to shield the Nigeria workers from that. And the guy said, but this is hard. So IBB now intervened. He said, no. This is the old way of thinking. The world has changed. Why do you think that they cannot influence that? They are the only one who can influence Nigeria workers. Nigeria workers cannot influence Russia workers. So I think they made a point. So that decree, list it, we'll repeal it. Next one. We said minimum wage. Okay. And we said for about 2 years now, we have not made much progress. Say, okay, I agree. It must be quite frustrating for you. So he asked the PAMSEC, why are we not able to reach a decision with Labour? And that one, they gave him some stuff, and he said, no. Now, I'll make my best offer. The current minimum wage is 125 naira a month. We say, yes, okay. My best offer, 250 naira a month. That's a 100% increase. That's my best offer. So we say, no. It's either you accept it or you don't, and you go back to that committee. I've decided to intervene at this level. Ideally, I will say, okay, give me time, let me consult. But I don't know what interest they represent, but I'm making you this direct offer. I will advise you take it. Otherwise, you wait, I will call the panel to brief me and to give me a recommendation. So we say, okay, well, we are here as delegates representing Labour. So we will go back and inform our National Working, Central Working Committee, and thereafter we'll brief our NEC. I will communicate the offer to them and their decision. We'll get back, we'll revert back to the president. Say, okay, that's fine. Any other thing? I think we had issues with workman compensation and whatever, a couple of issues like that. But the bottom line is that all of these issues, he will just call the Labour Minister, PAMSEC, and they will offer some explanations, and he'll say, no, this I have detailed way of thinking. I agree with the comrades. We will. That's how he granted those things. So we were like, So if we have had access to this man, we wouldn't have been here. We would have resolved all these issues long ago. So to be honest, the way he intervened and made the military people look as people who are not thinking, gave us a lot of joy. And we all walk away from the meeting, happy and all that. And I think thereafter, he was always attending our May Day programs. And of course, in our May Day programs, we make militant speeches, which are not usually too flattering. And he learned to absorb that. So that was my first encounter with IBB. But later, I went to NIPS, and I met with a number of senior military officers who were referred to as IBB boys. And a couple of times, like you will expect, Nigeria gossip about their leaders. And one of the colonels, and I would rather not mention his name, said to me, what people don't know when they say IBB boys is that the man has a way of winning your heart, even without doing anything for you. And the guy said his mother was sick, critically ill, so he had to go home just to see the mother and see what he can do by way of medical care. And then 2-3 days later, early in the morning, he was told Commander-in-Chief is around, CNC. Which CNC? And this guy was living in Lokoja. And he was shocked to find it was IBB that came to visit him. And he said, "How is your mother? I understand he's not feeling fine and you've been home. So, yeah, the condition is not too good at all." I said, "Okay, can we go and let me see her?" And he couldn't believe it. He is a colonel, not yet Worcester, anything, not a brigadier colonel. And the head of state is coming to visit. And he took him to where the mother was living. And the mother literally got healed. We told her this is President Ibrahim Babangida. Coming to, find out how he's feeling and having pep talks and so on. So the guy said, when a man has done that for you, you will go blindfolded in your loyalty to him because he shows he cares. And this stuff like that. Now, on the economy side, he pursues policies that I believe current governments are still pursuing, but I do not necessarily agree with those policies. One of them is the devaluation of the naira. As a union leader then, he set up this IMF debating committee, whether or not to take the IMF loan. And I think he kept Nigerians busy. And people were like, now we have opportunity to have our inputs. And we in the unions were like, if you devalue the currency, order the so-called structural adjustment program. Now, what will happen is that the interest of the property class automatically will enhance in naira terms, while the real value of wages will decrease to the extent of the devaluation. But we are paid in naira. Now, if you already have a car, you already have a house, the price will appreciate in naira terms. But those who have no property, they just watch their conditions going down. We also argued, I think it was Olufalaye who was the secretary to government. And Olufalaye pontificated about the beauty of structural adjustment and devaluation of the naira. And the theory was basically seemingly common sense theory, namely that when you devalue the currency, imported things will become more expensive for local people. And because they are more expensive, they will look inward to buy cheaper things at home. So Nigeria will export more because our goods will be cheaper abroad, and imports will be more expensive. And over time, Nigeria economy will respond to that. But we argued that what we are only the only thing we are exporting, which is still the case today, unfortunately, is petroleum product. It is priced in dollars. It's not priced in naira. So regardless of the local value of your currency, it doesn't affect the demand for your crude. And actually, crude oil market is not market-driven. It's controlled by a cartel called OPEC. So even OPEC does not believe in market forces. Because they believe in market forces, they didn't need a cartel to protect and determine quota for supply of oil. So we didn't see any sense in devaluing the currency and expecting that we will export what we do not produce. But rather, we will become poorer and poorer, and red sinkers will benefit. Well, the first devaluation was $1 to 2 naira. Second year, first year, 1 naira to 1 naira. From that second year of 1 naira to 2, today we are around 500 or more. And nobody knows the end. And our thesis in the union movement, which I still believe in even today, is that nobody embarks on a journey without destination. You ask Naira to find its level. The Naira does not know its level. It's a very dubious argument, in my view, to people to argue that, you devalue, you will get this, and we keep devaluing. And the more we devalue, the more we become import dependent. Now look at it today. The textile industry is gone. The leather industry is gone. The tire manufacturing industry is gone. All of those things that were booming before, they are gone. So has devaluation worked? The answer is no. In terms of increasing our export, have we reduced our import? The answer is no. We are importing more. But what is the problem? The policy is still there. But in terms of thinking through new policy choices, you cannot, IBB has a lot of law because he has this collection of brains from across the country. And that was working for him. Wherever he found the brain, regardless of where the guy come from, he will bring you in. He even brought in one of the radical guy, Uzemiro, Professor Uzemiro from University of Calabar. This was actually not just a socialist, a communist. And he co-opted him into what he called Presidential Economic Advisory Committee, which was chaired by Professor Aboyade. So when we go for that, we have a meeting with the committee to present Labour's perspective on economic and social policy choices. You will find a communist there, or a socialist of repute, who is a professor, who teaches us all the little things we know about the evils of capitalism vis-a-vis the beauty of socialism. You now find him sitting on the side of government and tell you, don't worry, we've got through it. Trust me, I'm here to represent your interests. Now, that capacity to bring people from various backgrounds, regardless of their ideological orientation, which he knows, gives every segment of society a sense of, oh, we are all involved in it. But at the end of the day, he will have his way. But everybody seems to have a say, and he goes on with his policy. So you had the TCPC, National Council of Privatization, whatever. It wasn't called National Council on Privatization then, which was headed by, I believe, Zayad or something. I don't remember the name now. But again, that privatization agenda, as we speak, is still on. So in terms of, initiating policies, whether you like them or you don't like them, no, he subject the country to some periodic shock treatment, shock therapy, by bringing in an idea that we keep the country busy and debating. So for the left people like us, we admire his energy, his intellectual capacity, his capacity to assemble intellectuals to rationalize whatever is it that he was convinced about, even as we do not agree with the ultimate outcome of what those guys had to do. You remember the book For Their Tomorrow, We Give Our Today. I still remember that book, authored by a guy from Kwara and one other person from Ihombari from Delta. Now, these were fine thinkers that he assembled. So, and I think if you talk of leadership, it is the capacity to identify who can help you do what you want to get done. Whether it is done rightly or wrongly is a different matter. In any case, politics and power is about consciously choosing who you seek to favor. Public policies are not value neutral, they are value driven. So to that extent, if he believed in market forces, you couldn't fault him for cautiously moving the economy more and more away from mixed economy to market-driven economy. And for those of us who believe that the market is a beast, that the state must intervene to protect to protect the poor, because the profit motive of the capitalist hardly ever coincide with the social purpose of government.
So you believe in socialism?
Listen, those labels now are not the thing. Between this labeling, it's a whole world of ideas. I'm simply saying the state cannot be an observer. There is a role for private sector, there is a robust role for the state to mitigate the side effect of profit seekers. If you have a world in which it's survival of the fittest, everybody to himself, God for all of us, in my view, that's not the kind of world I want to live in, because majority will drop out. But, however, what is important for me is not whether IBB choices coincided or did not coincide with my own personal views about the polity and the economy. But that you could say that the man was, he proactively introduced measures that will keep you busy. You know, I'm not sure what he thinks now. Have you seen that the Naira is now 500? So, and we are more import dependent. We are exporting less. The industry that were flourishing in his time are dead today. I was in the textile industry when I met him when I was deputy president. And the industry is dead today, many years after I left office. So what it takes now, I wouldn't know. But it did, what is happening now justifies substantially our fears that we were not in a position to talk of competition. Competition must be between equals. Even in boxing, you don't bring heavyweight with a featherweight to go and box in a ring, even in the name of Olympic. They have various categories. So competition must first presume that the parties have equal opportunity to compete. You know, when you start a process, it on its own develops its own dynamics. Once you tickle with the idea of a free market, you know, the structural adjustment, devalue the currency, let it float and find its level. It was never going to be able to find its level. Then the banking sector was also deregulated. That brought, in my opinion, mixed outcome. It challenged the old banks to reform. Because the days of going to the bank and you have a long queue, they give you tally number 1, number 2, number 100, number 105. Once the new generation bank came in, that was a result of liberalizing the banking sector. However, the negative side of it, in my opinion, is the fact that it is now very difficult to manage the banks, which is also substantially responsible for the endless speculation of the Naira. Because then, I remember, I built my house in Kaduna, courtesy of the control a regime of intervention, where the government every year directs the banks that you must lend in single digit, not the central bank, commercial banks must lend in single digit to the housing sector. And people like me, I got 75,000 Naira loan from Union Bank to build a house. All I needed was a collateral. I didn't need to go to CBN with special window. Every bank had to do it. And there were not many banks, so they could control them. Right now, the banks are many, and you could see the CBN battling now between is it BDC to sell currency or the banks to sell traveler check and all that. I mean, BT and all that. But bottom line, the bank have become too strong with all the monetary instrument at the disposal of the CBN. I believe the banks are still getting away with blue model. So that is the negative side of it. The point you can make, the general is a very, very intelligent and sound human being. He may not have, quote, take the IMF loan, but he adopted the policies. And our fear was not the fact of the loan. It's for the conditionalities that we were objecting to, which included devaluation and liberalizing trade, allowing imports, removing restrictions, removing the generalization decree that sought to, reserve some businesses for Nigeria. So yeah, whether you take the loan or not, it's not very critical. But the issue is the conditions were adopted. IMF talk about privatizing. They talk about devaluing the currency. All of this were done. you can't be neutral to IBB's voice on national issue. You either agree or you disagree. And so that voice, Nigeria still needs it, perhaps even more now. And I think there's a lot that we can all learn from his, say whatever you want to say, from his very broad-mindedness. As I said, even small people like me, not because I became a governor, because I was just a worker, I could have a discussion with him and feel that I'm not talking to a military ruler, but he has his powers. And when it matters, he deploys those powers. But however, it makes you feel that you are respected. Nigeria needs statesmen. I'm very happy that he is not joining this renewed business of ethnic champion clubs. Because I hold the view that anybody who has had the privilege of presiding over Nigeria should be a Nigeria statesman and not speak for any part, any group, or any religion. He should speak for all. And I have not heard him make any comment that you can describe as being for or against any particular religion or any particular. So I think we need more and more people like that who Nigeria can run to at times like this when people who are short-sighted are questioning the unity of Nigeria. At a time where the world are forming artificial supra-state